Welcome in to I Remember My First Time.
Oh,
Oh, don't be nasty, Jacob. Not that first time.
damn it.
This is a podcast about cinematic awakenings,
I like the sound of that.
where we talk about the movies we love with someone who just popped their cherry to that movie.
All right, that sounds pretty nice.
Jacob, are all the movies we do on this podcast going to be good movies?
God, I hope not.
Do we like shitty movies?
We love shitty movies. Sometimes even more than good movies.
Are we critics?
Absolutely not.
But do we love movies?
We love the shit out of movies. And this week's masterpiece, the 2000 classic described by John Turturro as a hillbilly musical comedy adventure and by Joe Coen as a Three Stooges movie in a lot of ways and the Lawrence and Arabia of Hayseed movies.
Our first Coen Brothers movie.
Our first Coen Brothers movie. Oh, brother, where art thou?
Jacob, is you is or is you ain't my constituency?
BJ, thank you for the conversational hiatus. I generally refrain from speech during gustration. I find it coarse and vulgar. Where were we?
I am Soggy Bottom Boy, BJ Leica.
That sounds dirty.
Kind of does, doesn't it?
Anyways, joined as always by me, Dapper Dan Man, Jacob Ekus, and I cannot wait for us to RUNNOFT with this podcast.
Run off.
Run off. BJ, tell me about this movie. What description you got for us?
Oh, brother, where art thou? Described by Hulu as, in this update of Homer's The Odyssey, set in 1930s Depression-era Deep South, three convicts, the Silver-Tongue Everett, the Simpleton Delmar, and the Maladjusted Pete, escape from a chain gang and embark on the journey of a lifetime.
Wow, that was a lot.
I didn't need the description of the characters.
No, we're going to learn about them in the movie.
Yeah. If they'd have taken that out, it'd have been just a fine review. Anyway, 7.7 out of 10 according to IMDb for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? 79% on Rotten Tomatoes and 69% on Metacritic.
Okay, so pretty even across the board.
Yeah, I would say a 7.7 on IMDb translates to a 69% Metacritic score.
Yeah, seems about right.
Yeah. What do you think Raj had to say about this movie?
I think Roger Ebert has a hard-on for the Coen Brothers, and I think he loved the shit out of this modern retelling of Homer's Odyssey.
2.5 out of 4 stars.
Oh, fuck you, Roger.
Not quite a thumbs up.
Okay, what did he not like about it?
The main thing he talks about in this review is he likes the scenes individually. He just doesn't see how they tie together.
Okay.
So the parts are kind of greater than the whole.
Okay.
And he said he liked the scene so much, but was so underwhelmed when the movie finished, he actually watched it twice to make sure he was getting everything right.
That sounds a lot like my feelings of this movie after my 5th rewatch.
He does point out that in every Coen Brothers movie, there's one thing that makes him laugh more than it should have.
Okay.
And in this movie, it's because John Goodman has only one good eye. He only has to cut one hole in his Klan's hood. Did you have one of those in this movie?
I did. It was Milton from Office Space as the music producer.
Stephen Root.
He cracked me the fuck up.
Mine was how the kid in Pete's cousin's place always he was sitting on a stack of books, and then he had him taped to the gas pedal so he could drive him away.
And then just meeting that kid, it was so funny too, just shooting at him. Oh my gosh. Pa told me to shoot anybody from the bank.
Yeah,
as they're in striped prison uniforms. We ain't from the bank, son.
They're still chained up at this point. It's like, are you folks from the bank? The Klan scene is his favorite scene in it. He said the Coen Brothers did such a good job making it look ominous and ridiculous at the same time.
Yeah, when that scene first came on, my thought was, Of course, these racist losers would have a choreographed dance to start their meeting. Like, fuck you, fucking losers.
They look like a high school drill team.
And I can see real Klan meetings being like that.
He basically ends the review saying that not all movies need to flow, not all movies need to have a great ending, but for some reason, it worked much better in The Big Lebowski for him than it did Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
I also thought The Big Lebowski's ending was perfect. Just John Goodman throwing Donnie's ashes all over the dude. Like, how does it not get better? But anyways.
How'd this movie do in the box office?
Fucking incredible. Its budget in 1999 was $26 million.
Okay.
So $45 million today. It made $72 million. So $125 million today.
You know, that's a little surprising because this movie seems like a really hard sell to get someone to watch.
It does. This movie is difficult to make people who haven't seen this movie yet watch it. But in 2000, I don't think it was a hard sell.
Clooney? Was it Clooney based?
Well, it was Clooney, but the Coen Brothers had already done Barton Fink, Raising Arizona, The Big Lebowski, and Fargo.
Okay, all right, I can see that then.
So they had been firing on all cylinders, and George Clooney.
Yeah, George Clooney probably at his peak popularity around this time.
And peak attraction level. If it's not now.
Not that it hasn't fallen off, but it, you know.
Like I said, if it's not now, it's then. So it hasn't fallen off.
Yeah, year 2000 George Clooney on a scale from 1 to 10 is like a 12 and a half.
Yeah. So I think it was both. Back then, I don't think it was a hard sell.
Okay, all right.
It's a hard sell now.
Sure.
My girlfriend fell asleep 45 minutes into this movie, and when the movie ended, I'm just like, I'm not going to get her to watch the rest of this movie because I'm betting she wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah, because this is the conversation. You're like, hey, you know what movie you should watch? Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? Oh, what's it about? Well, it's a retelling of Homer's Odyssey, set in the South in the Great Depression. It makes no sense at all, and there's a bluegrass backing track the entire movie.
Bluegrass gospel.
Yes, yeah. That's a hard sell, man.
100% it is. They're probably not watching that movie. So, what are your thoughts on this movie?
This movie makes me happy. It just takes me to a happy place. The Coen Brothers make me happy. George Clooney makes me happy. Tim Blake Nelson makes me happy. Bluegrass music makes me happy. Does the plot make total sense? No. Is it absurd and ridiculous in places? Yes. But I love this movie because it just makes me feel good.
Okay. This movie, upon my 5th or 6th rewatch, whatever time this is my least favorite Coen Brothers film.
Now, that's not saying it's bad or even mediocre.
No, it's not saying a couple things. It's not saying it's bad or mediocre because I still really like this movie. And I've also only seen 5 Coen Brothers films.
Okay.
And the five that I've seen are Fargo, The Big Lebowski, this, No Country for Old Men, and Burn After Reading. So I've seen some fucking killers.
Okay, yeah. And kind of, I think everybody's favorite Coen Brothers movie is whatever one makes them feel the best.
Yeah. Because mine is definitely The Big Lebowski, and it's not even close.
And it takes you to a happy place when you watch it,
oh,
right?
Oh, yeah. From the moment that movie starts to the moment it ends. I mean, Jeff Bridges trying a quarter gallon of half and half in the fucking supermarket and then paying 69 cents with a check. Like, moment it starts, I'm just like, this is fucking great.
So it's a Coen Brothers movie. It depends on your favorite is which one makes you feel the best.
Yeah. I feel like Roger on this movie. Like, there were a lot of good scenes, and then there were some ones that weren't great, and it just kind of left me like, dang it.
All right.
What did you like about the movie other than it making you happy?
With all Coen Brothers movies, I'll start here. The dialogue is obviously fantastic.
Love that. I'm going to second that too.
The way they make the way they shoot the movies, the cinematography, always great in Coen Brothers movies. And they always seem to have the perfect cast.
Yes.
So those are the things from Coen Brothers movies that I really like.
I second all those things. The writing is just so good. Like, I love the dialogue. I love the wittiness and the language that they're using in the 1930s. It's not the easiest to write a movie like that.
No.
And they did it so well. And that's what the Coen Brothers do. Their writing is so good.
Yeah, this is a movie that you have got to walk an extremely tight rope.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of room to miss on this kind of a movie. And I think they do that balance really well. Tim Blake Nelson, we got to shout out Tim Blake Nelson. He's incredible in this movie.
He's the only person to have read Homer's Odyssey out of everyone on set. He's classically educated from Brown University.
He's an Ivy League guy?
Yeah.
That's shocking because he's breathing out of his mouth this entire movie.
He is the 1930s equivalent of a broke Eli Manning. Just a mouth breather. What did you not like about the movie?
One more thing. I think this goes without saying. The music in this film is...
Oh, the music's incredible. I didn't say it because you don't have to.
Right.
It's the best part of the movie outside of the dialogue.
You know that going in. Everybody should know that going into this podcast. That's awesome.
Yeah. Was there anything you didn't like about the movie?
The ending, not that I didn't like it, but it was kind of the only point in the movie where I just kind of went, whatever. And I get it.
And Coen Brothers movies are like that because it's about the journey, not the ending.
Well, and especially when you're basing it on Homer's Odyssey.
Correct.
It's the journey, but it's still...
But even like their other movies like No Country for Old Men just kind of ends.
Right, but I like those endings. This one I just kind of shrugged my shoulder and went, eh.
Yeah, it didn't really hit like the other ones do. I just didn't like the flow. I didn't like some of the scenes. And that's pretty much it. Yeah,
because this movie is kind of just 6 to 8 minute scene, followed by 6 to 8 minute scene.
Yeah.
Followed by 6 to 8 minute scene.
They didn't all flow, and not every scene was great.
Yeah, and I understand that, but at least watching the movie, you're like, okay, I only got 6 to 8 minutes of this. And I never felt like there were 2 boring scenes in a row.
I agree. Was it a good or a bad movie?
Oh, it's a great movie.
Okay, I'm going to go with good.
Okay.
But of course you would think it's great. It makes you happy.
Yeah.
Is this your favorite Coen Brothers film?
No. No Country for Old Men is probably...
No Country for Old Men makes you happy?
Because kind of.
You just said that your favorite Coen Brothers film is the one that makes you the happiest.
Oh, hang on.
No Country for Old Men can be their best movie.
No Country for Old Men is by far their best movie. That's almost a perfect movie.
Yeah.
That's as close as you can get to a perfect movie. But I don't think of Coen Brothers when I think of No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
I think of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Burn After Reading, Big Lebowski, Fargo.
Okay.
It seems like No Country for Old Men is kind of its separate thing.
Kind of a league of its own.
Yeah.
Okay. Mount Rushmore scenes, baby. Time to get deep.
Oh,
deep.
Yes, sir.
As I like to say, balls deep. I don't think it'll ever get old. I think I'll say balls deep every time this segment comes up.
Okay.
Because that's how deep we're getting, goddammit.
You want to start or you want me to?
I'll start. You always start.
Okay.
My 4th favorite scene is the babyface Nelson scene. Such a great scene.
Do you know who may be better than George Nelson in that scene? Tim Blake Nelson.
What line of work you in, George?
Hey, George, you're losing some of your folding money back here.
Not the livestock, George. You know what I hate more than coppers? Cows. And I love Babyface Nelson just pulling over as the cops are behind him, like, you know what town I'm going into? Am I going the right way?
They're stopping and thinking and talking, and you can see the cops coming in the rearview mirror, and finally he's like, just hop in while you're thinking.
Tim Blake Nelson at the end of that scene. She didn't mean nothing by it, George. Enough said.
Sure, of course.
Your fourth.
The Klan rally.
That's your fourth favorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's something I really like in movies, and this goes to making me happy. When a Klan rally gets ruined, it's awesome.
Yes.
I think the opening scene from Bad Boys 2, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence bust up a Klan rally, and I just think it's really funny when that happens.
Have you seen the Black KKK Klansman?
No, I haven't. The Spike Lee one?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
It's fucking up a Klan rally for the whole movie.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the black guy's telling David Duke, or David Duke's telling the black guy on the phone that he can tell when someone's black just by talking to him, because blacks sound a certain way. As he's talking to a black guy on the phone.
And this is going to sound really bad taken out of context. The song the Grand Dragon or whatever is singing, beautiful fucking song.
And I love that the Grand Dragon is the reform governor candidate.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yes, you're the progressive one.
The progressive one is leading at least the local chapter of the KKK.
Okay. Anything else on the KKK Klan?
The fiery cross going down.
Oh yeah, killing John Goodman.
Yeah, great. And bolt cutters are so readily available in this world,
especially in the 30s.
Yeah, they must have just been lying around.
You would think they'd be more readily available now, but the 30s they were producing the shit out of those things. Apparently, it's definitely a standard quest item.
Is this an RPG video game?
Kinda.
It kinda is. This movie kind of is.
My third favorite scene is the initial Soggy Bottom Boys song.
Okay, that's mine too. So
okay,
we can dive right into it.
I love the producer just humming the song or singing it or whatever he's doing. Milton, he cracked me up so much in this scene.
Do you start this scene? Because I start the scene when they pick up the Robert Johnson character, the Robert Johnson fill-in, who sold his soul to play the guitar, and Tim Blake Nelson's like, "You sold your ever-loving soul for that?"
I wasn't using it. And George Clooney's like, "Yeah, well, funny enough, we're a bunch of saved individuals here. These two just got saved. You just sold your soul to the devil. I guess I'm the only one that still needs to decide." Bit of trivia, the character Tommy Johnson is based on the famed blues guitarist of the same name, who, according to folk legend, sold his soul to the devil at the crossroads in exchange for his prodigious talent. Robert Johnson, another blues salesman and contemporary of Tommy's, but no relation, borrowed the legend and wrote a song about it. And so the soul-selling legend was subconsciously wrongly attributed to Robert Johnson.
I've had that wrong my entire life.
Yeah, not a Robert Johnson fill-in.
Actual Tommy Johnson. Okay.
Yep. No, I don't start it there.
Okay.
It's probably my shortest scene along with Babyface Nelson, because it's just in the producer. Yeah.
When they come in and George Clooney is just killing it.
Yeah. We heard that you were giving people money to sing into a can. Well, y'all a bunch of Negroes? Yes, we are. We don't record Negroes. Well, we're not really.
Except that's a mighty fine sound. Why don't you boys come in? I'll give you $10 a piece. Two of us are going to have to sign X's. Only 4 of us know how to write.
My second favorite scene, I would guess, is either your second or first favorite scene. John Goodman, the Cyclops scene.
I didn't put it in mind because I knew you would. So
because of my ever-loving love for John Goodman.
So it gave me a chance to talk about the really funny Klan scene.
I love John Goodman. I can't wait to talk about The Big Lebowski so I can talk about John Goodman for an hour and a half.
It's going to be a 3-parter. There's going to be a movie part, a Jeff Bridges part, and a John Goodman part.
100% there is. But this scene is so good. And I started in the restaurant when Clooney and Tim Blake Nelson are talking, and Tim Blake Nelson goes, "We were about to fornicate." And then John Goodman just hearing the money and just turning around, and it's fucking on. And I get another one of my favorite quotes from this movie because Coen Brothers love making fun of everything. And John Goodman's just like, there's vast amounts of money to be made in the service of God Almighty.
And this is the part of the movie where I know what happens in Homer's Odyssey, but kind of very loosely.
Uh-huh.
And so they go right from the sirens to the Cyclops. I was like, Homer's Odyssey. All right,
Yep.
Cool.
I get it now.
Yeah. It took me a while. It took me a long time. And I guess I missed that part. I think they opened the movie with it, but I think my first time watching it, I probably missed that. And when I see the Cyclops, I'm like, oh, that's right, Homer's Odyssey. Got it. Cool.
I love John Goodman just beating the fucking shit out of him with a stick.
Oh, and then he finds out it's just Pete in the box.
And then crushes Pete in his hand.
I was so sad.
Tim Blake Nelson was fucking distraught. And I love just the George Clooney being the smart one in the group, but just being dumb as shit that he's not going to get the shit kicked out of him. He's like, I don't really get what you're saying, Big Dan. All right, your second favorite scene.
Babyface Nelson. I don't think we need to talk. I think we covered it, pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
But, man, it's awesome. Just mood swing after mood swing with that guy.
My number one favorite scene is the only other John Goodman scene in the movie. The Klan scene.
Wait, you don't have the live performance?
Oh, no, yes, I do. I take the Klan scene through the live performance.
Okay.
When they start throwing shit at the reformed governor because everyone's finding out he's the Grand Wizard of the KKK.
Right. And all politicians are shitheads.
Yes. But when I mentioned this earlier when you brought it up, but the moment this came on, my first thought was, of course these losers have a choreographed dance. Of fucking course they do.
Ugh.
They actually got a military troop to choreograph the dance. And most of the military troop were African Americans, and Joe Coen overheard one of them say, "This is freaking weird.
This is some weird honky shit." That's a good idea, though, the way that scene was shot to get military members.
Yeah,
that's a smart idea. I like that.
100%. I love John Goodman catching the flag, and then immediately after that, the cross falling on him.
Yes.
Incredible. I love John Goodman. He's so good in this movie. He nailed every minute he was in it.
Yeah, because my number one scene is the live concert hall performance.
Which is great. George Clooney and his antics up on stage.
Incredible dance moves.
Yep. He, this is in my trivia. I forget the blues singer's name that actually did the singing, but it wasn't George Clooney's voice. He practiced for weeks to try to do it, but they just went somewhere else.
Yeah.
But Tim Blake Nelson is actually singing the Jailhouse song.
Oh, don't sleep on In the Jailhouse Now.
Yeah.
That's a banger. It might not be as good as Man of Constant Sorrow, but it's still really good.
Yeah. And like I said, that was Tim Blake Nelson.
Named Ramblin' Bob. He used to cheat and gamble and rob. He thought he was the smartest man around.
He sings in Ballad of Buster Scruggs, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I need to watch that. Anything else about the live performance that you want to hit on?
Oh, I love how they make the politicians look like shitheads.
Oh, throughout the whole movie,
Yes.
But yeah, they made them look so bad. Any honorable mentions you want to hit before because we didn't talk about every good scene. I have 2 honorable mentions.
We got to talk about when they first escape and they go to Pete's cousin's house.
Yep. Incredible scene. I love Pete's cousin looking so much like a redneck hillbilly version of John Turturro.
Oh, yeah.
Not that John Turturro wasn't looking like a redneck hillbilly.
Because he was.
But just great. And then once the fire really starts and it gets to the armory vehicle, take cover, boys. That ain't popcorn.
That was such a ridiculous, hilarious scene to me.
I got to take care of mine. Got this depression going on. Got to take care of me and mine.
Yep.
My other honorable mention is the movie scene.
Okay.
When the prison troop came in and they reconnected John Turturro, and Tim Blake Nelson's like, We thought you was a toad.
What a confusing statement to say to somebody who has no idea what you're talking about. And this scene also has the fight between George Clooney and our favorite Reverend from Deadwood.
Yep. A
very funny fight.
Yes.
Nothing's funnier to me than 1920s boxer man setup. Where they have the one fist way out in front and they're kind of moving them circular.
Yep. I love that look. It's not an honorable mention, but I have to mention it. The siren scene, specifically when they think he's a toad.
Oh, yeah.
That made that whole scene so worth it. Diving around in the water looking for the toad. Pete, come back, Pete.
George Clooney's like, I don't think that's Pete.
Oh, no, it's Pete. We did it.
Got through Rushmore?
Got through the Rushmore.
Movie-related talk time?
What is our movie-related talk today?
Because this is a Coen Brothers movie and it has several Coen Brothers staple actors in it, I want to talk a little bit about when actors and directors work together so many times.
Okay. So, Coen Brothers have a ton of them.
Goodman and Turturro in this movie.
Yep. Tim Blake Nelson in this movie, too.
Clooney's in Men Who Stare at Goats.
Yep. Jeff Bridges. Steve Buscemi. Jeff Bridges, Big Lebowski, and True Grit.
Right.
Steve Buscemi. Who else do they use?
Do they use Frances McDermott in a couple movies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tarantino has a lot of these people. Samuel Jackson.
Right.
Uma Thurman.
Harvey Keitel.
Tim Roth. Kurt Russell.
Yeah, well, so there's...
Because he was death proof in Hateful Eight.
Yeah, and there's some of them where they do some of the movies, but there's certain people, like, when I think of
Tarantino.
Samuel L. Jackson, I think of Tarantino.
Yeah.
When I think of Scorsese, I think of De Niro.
Yeah, and Joe Pesci.
Yes.
Ray Liotta. Leonardo DiCaprio as of late.
Yeah, DiCaprio's a tough one because he could be a...
Scorsese, Christopher Nolan.
Or Tarantino.
Would you put Brad Pitt in the Tarantino one?
No, because like I said, when I think of Brad Pitt, I don't think of Tarantino.
Bruce Willis and M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah, that's one I think of. I mean, Bruce Willis obviously started his career well before that, but...
Danny Trejo and Robert Rodriguez.
Podcast favorite, Danny Trejo.
Podcast favorites, John Goodman, Danny Trejo, Robert Rodriguez.
Tim Blake Nelson is welcome on the show.
Fucking Cage. Does Nick Cage have one of those relationships with any directors? He doesn't, does he?
I don't think so. Unless he did like a bunch with John Woo in the 90s that I'm not remembering.
Will Ferrell and Adam McKay?
Yeah. Seth Rogen and Judd Apatow.
Uh-huh.
Or that kind of whole Apatow crew, right?
Yeah.
But I think it works pretty well. It just, the directors, the actors, they know each other, they know what they want, and they work together, and you're usually getting a good performance when you get people who've worked together before working together again.
Yeah. The only female was Uma Thurman that we said.
Frances McDormand.
Oh, yeah, that's right. At least we had two. So much dick on this podcast. Show us your dick, Michael Douglas.
How did you work that into this podcast?
I don't know.
You're a genius, Jacob. You're a genius.
All right, character breakdown.
Number one, I think we got to start with George Clooney.
Got to start with the Cloon.
Who is clearly the star of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He is funny. He's charming. His accent's tremendous. And I don't think there's an actor that can pull off this role better than he did.
I don't think so either. Who could do it?
So like, I don't think DiCaprio's goofy enough.
No, he's not. Nick Cage.
That's either really good or really bad.
Yeah.
Maybe
Brad Pitt?
Maybe not like 1990, early 90s Tom Hanks.
I don't think Hanks.
It's got to be.
No, Hanks is goofy because
Yeah.
Robin Williams.
Is it too goofy with Robin Williams though? Is it so funny that it loses some of its odd, unique charm? But I don't think anybody's playing it better than Clooney.
I think you're right.
He kills an incredibly difficult role.
Yeah.
How does he look so good in every part of this movie? Like, there's movies where he's dirty, his hair's everywhere, and it doesn't matter because he still looks great.
I wish I could look half as good as George Clooney at any point in his life.
We're just jealous of George Clooney.
Tim Blake Nelson.
Probably my favorite character in this movie.
Yeah.
He carries the movie for large chunks of it.
I agree.
Because you just can't have George Clooney the whole time. So Tim Blake Nelson carries this movie for large parts of it. And he's just an incredibly funny, mouth-breathing moron in this movie.
So the Coen Brothers hadn't worked with Tim Blake Nelson, and they were neighbors at the time. And when they sent the script to him, he thought that they were reaching out to him because of his classics degree.
His Ivy League classic literature diploma.
Uh-huh. He had no idea that they wanted him to be in the movie.
All right.
And he's your favorite character.
Yeah.
John Turturro.
Is John Turturro ever turned in a bad performance?
No. He makes the Transformers movies good.
He never has a bad performance. It's always a good performance.
John Turturro is one of, I feel like, because of this movie, one of the few straight men who can sympathize with everyone that sucks dick, because his jaw had to have hurt.
I was wondering where you were going with that movie, or with that comment. Oh, God. He's just got to carry this massive underbite the whole time.
Oh, his jaw had to have hurt so bad.
All right, I don't know how to transition from that.
we have a side character draft.
Okay, there we go. All right.
I have the number one overall draft, and without a shadow of a doubt, it goes to John Goodman.
Big Dan.
Big Dan. What is there to say that wasn't already said in the Cyclops scene? Almost nothing. I loved him tearing off the extremely huge branch off of the tree.
The way he ate the chicken.
Yes. Oh my God. How fucking funny. I love it in movies when actors do shit like that. Brad Pitt does it a ton. He eats in almost every one of his movies. But I was listening to the Office Ladies podcast, and Jenna Fisher was talking about how when you're eating on screen, that's how you have to eat the entire time through all the shoots. And I didn't even think about that. And so John Goodman, I don't know how many times they shot that scene, but just cleaning the fucking bone every time like that. Incredible.
Because they're not doing this stuff in one take.
No.
And I don't think Goodman's one to use a spit bucket.
I don't think so either. All right, your number 2 overall pick.
It's got to be George Babyface Nelson.
Okay. Has to be.
Yeah.
He's the second best side character.
If there's one thing I hate worse than coppers, it's cows.
Not the livestock, George. Oh, he's such a good character. And I love how upset he got in the bank.
Oh, yeah.
How he just picked up and left.
And then when he was arrested, he was happy as can be.
Before we leave him, throw this in there. The historical Babyface Nelson was a homicidal gangster named Lester M. Gillis, who was known for his hot temper and itchy trigger finger. He was shot by FBI agents and died of his wounds in Wilmette, Illinois on November 27th, 1934, 3 years before the setting of this film.
I didn't realize there was a date set to this film.
Apparently there was. But yeah, Babyface Nelson ran with Al Capone.
Okay.
Yeah. My number 3 overall pick goes to Tommy Johnson.
Not
Robert Johnson.
Yep.
who is a fill-in for Tommy Johnson.
Yeah, that's confusing. I've been wrong about that my whole life.
I love that he came back in the movie too.
Yes.
Like all the good side characters had to come back.
Right.
Showed up after selling us all to the devil and recording Soggy Bottom Boys, and then the Klan was getting ready to hang him.
Saved. Saved
funny,
by the falling cross.
How funny is it that they're upset that he sold his soul to the devil?
Yes.
Racist pieces of shit. Okay, your number 4 overall pick, last pick of the side character draft.
I'm gonna go with Homer Stokes, the gubernatorial candidate / KKK leader.
Okay,
is just such a piece of shit.
Is you ain't my constituency.
Them boys misogynized.
Gonna sweep in reform.
Pappy O'Daniel's like, his team's like, maybe we get a smaller midget.
Oh, Pappy O'Daniel's son was so funny. No, is it Pappy?
Yeah, Pappy O'Daniel's is the other one.
Okay. Such an idiot.
They all are.
All of them are. Just the way they made his son was so funny to me.
Yeah.
Is it time, BJ?
You have trivia and facts for us?
I have so much trivia and facts.
In a Coen Brothers movie. This should be good.
Yes. It's already been said, but although Homer is given co-writing credit on the film, Joel and Ethan Coen claim to have never read the Odyssey and are only familiar with it through cultural osmosis in film adaptations.
Do you think that adds to the charm that they didn't really know?
Yes.
It'd be like me trying to rewrite Harry Potter, where I'm like, I know there's a game called Quidditch. How do we put Quidditch in here?
I know there's some dude that doesn't have a nose named Voldemort. He's the bad guy. And I need some teenager with a facial scar.
That's it. I'm out. That's all I know that happens.
At the end, Everett's line, finding one little ring in the middle of all that water is one hell of a heroic task, is a reference to the legend of Theseus, who had to find a golden ring at the bottom of the ocean to prove he was the son of Poseidon. So another Greek reference. Okay. I feel that was thrown in there solely because of Tim Blake Nelson.
Probably.
Yeah. This is also probably solely Tim Blake Nelson, too. Another possible interpretation of the siren's actions at the river is that by giving Pete over to the police, the woman turned Ulysses and his men into pigs, as Circe does in the Odyssey.
Oh, he turns them into pigs, turns them into the cops.
Mm-hmm. And then Turturro gives up their plan.
I'm not sure that was the intent, but okay.
But maybe. So Joe Coen revealed that the film was inspired by Wizard of Oz. It started as 3 saps on the run kind of movie, and then at a certain point we looked at each other and said, we're trying to get home. Let's just say this is the Odyssey. We were thinking of it as more as the Wizard of Oz. We wanted the tag on the movie to be "There's no place like home." Following that up with, in an interview in September 14th, 2009 issue of GQ, Joe Coen said, laughing, "All we've been doing for the last 25 years is remaking The Wizard of Oz. It's true. Sometimes consciously and sometimes we don't realize until we've made the movie. Consciously, No Brother Art Thou, Oz is the only movie we just rip off right and left."
How much weed do the Coen brothers smoke?
Too much to think No Country for Old Men
is The Wizard of Oz?
Maybe that's the exception because it's based off a book, but I doubt it. How is Fargo Wizard of Oz?
I don't know. How are any of them? Is the dude Dorothy?
Right? Is Walter's Pomeranian Toto?
Oh, we're just making the Wizard of Oz.
God. That's all we've been doing for 25 years. Okay. Oh, no, I have one more kind of like that. At the KKK rally, the chant is reminiscent of the chant used by the witches soldiers in Wizard of Oz. Also, when the 3 main characters ambush Klan members and don their capes and hoods, it's reminiscent of the Lion, Tin Man, and Scarecrow dressing in soldiers' uniforms in order to gain entrance to the castle, or in this case, the clan rally.
Okay.
Straight rip-off of Wizard of Oz.
So Tim Blake Nelson doesn't have a brain. George Clooney doesn't have any courage. And I guess John Turturro
has no soul. That's the Tin Man, right?
Heart.
Has no heart.
Okay, so maybe this is the Wizard of Oz without Dorothy.
I think so. That's fucking funny. The Coen Brothers are awesome. It cannot be stated enough. Now I have soundtrack trivia.
Oh, man. This was such a popular soundtrack at the time.
Yeah.
This was so popular. They were playing Man of Constant Sorrow on top 40 country stations.
This is another movie where our 4-5 year age difference really comes out because you remember this.
Yes.
And you remember this song. I didn't watch this until well after year 2000. I was 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was 12. So this movie's more than suitable for a 12-year-old.
100%. Especially a 12-year-old that doesn't have any siblings.
Right.
And only talks to their parents. The film soundtrack became an unlikely blockbuster, even surpassing the success of the film. By early 2001, it had sold 5 million copies, spawned a documentary film, 3 follow-up albums, Oh Sister and Oh Sister 2, 2 concert tours, and won Country Music Awards for the Album of the Year and Single of the Year. It also won 5 Grammys, including Album of the Year, and hit #1 on Billboard Album Charts of the Week of March 5th, 2002. 63 weeks after its release and over a year after the release of the film.
I'm telling you, it was crazy popular.
That's
for a
nuts.
Bluegrass song in the 2000s.
If you would have told, if there was a trivia, what was the most popular song in 2001, I would not have guessed A Man of Constant Sorrow.
Oh, I don't know if it was the most popular.
You know what I mean? Maybe that's the wrong way to ask that question.
If you're breaking down the, top songs of the year, it's definitely on the list.
Yeah. The Prisoner's musical chant from the beginning of the movie and soundtrack was actually an old recording of a chain gang. The recording, the song is Poe Lazarus, is a recording of actual prisoners from Parchment Farm Prison in 1959. This is going to make you love the Coen Brothers. The Coens tracked down one of the prisoners, Joe Carter, and paid him $20,000 for using his voice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You think that was hard to track him down?
Probably.
Had to be.
I mean, 1959 prison records, probably not the best.
Right.
George Clooney practiced his singing voice for weeks. It was dubbed by country blues singer Dan Treminski.
That's a hard voice to do.
Yeah. Do you know Dan Treminski?
No, I don't know if he's in like a band that you're
gonna check him out now?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. Like I said, Tim Blake Nelson sang in the Jailhouse Now. For people that don't know, Man of Constant Sorrow was first published in 1913 by the blind Richard Burnett.
T. Boone Burnett did the music for this movie.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
And Man of Constant Sorrow became such a hit that it has led to at least 5 covers of the song, including bluegrass, country, a harmonica, a cappella, and even a heavy metal version. That sounds dope as fuck.
You want to listen to it when the podcast is over?
100% I want to listen to the heavy metal version, because that's what you're talking about, right?
Oh, yeah.
Me being the metalhead?
Yeah.
I want to listen to the other ones too, but fuck me, heavy metal. In one montage sequence, we see Everett, Pete, and Delmar pass 2 African-American boys on a country road. Both the boys are carrying large blocks of ice. This appears to be a visual reference to a famous Works Progress Administration photograph by Eudora Wheatley. So these are my historical trivia.
Cool.
Yeah. This one's kind of long, but I think worth it. The character Pappy O'Daniel was a direct reference to Wilbert Lee Pappy O'Daniel, who was sales manager for Burris Flour Mills in Fort Worth, Texas around 1925. He hired the Light Crust Doughboys as the band to advertise Burris Light Crust Flour on a radio show for which he was the announcer, and he ultimately hired Bob Wills to front the band. O'Daniel started W. Lee O'Daniel's Hillbilly brand flour in 1935. Wills took the majority of the Light Crust Doughboys with him when he and Pappy parted ways. bitterly to form Bob Wills and
the Texas Playboys.
Yep. The replacement band was known as W. Lee O'Daniel and his Hillbilly Boys, and he used his power to buy advertising to promote Western swing music, religion, his flower, and himself. He used his notoriety as a radio host to successfully run for governor of Texas twice. He also served as senator from Texas for 2 terms, beating out LBJ for a congressman in 1941.
Are the Coen Brothers Texas boys?
I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
I don't know, because you had the Fort Worth governor, whatever, and No Country takes place in West Texas.
It does.
I don't know.
And Woody Harrelson's a Texas boy. No, they're New York.
All right.
Everybody just loves Texas.
I don't know how they knew about a 1925 governor of Texas, but okay.
In the scene at the Woolworth store, Ulysses calls his wife Penny a lion inconstant scubious. That is about as refined a curse as a PG-13 movie will allow. An inconstant woman is a faithless woman, and a succubus is an ancient reference to an evil spirit who seduces men in their sleep in order to have relations with them.
Sounds like you just called her a woman to me.
Hey! This is a good example. I think you brought this up when we were talking about this movie, that just because you use big words doesn't mean you're smart, because George Clooney is not smart.
Oh, he's a dipshit. He just uses fancy words.
George Clooney, upon reading the script, did not immediately understand his character, and so sent the script to his Uncle Jack, a tobacco farmer who lived in Kentucky, and asked him to read the entire script into a tape recorder. Unknown to Clooney, in his recording, Jack, a devout Baptist, omitted all instances of the words damn and hell from the Coen script, which only became known to Clooney after the directors pointed this out to him in the middle of shooting. Jack had never been on a plane before flying in for the premiere.
I like that story.
Yeah.
I like that they flew him out.
Hell yes. George Clooney agreed to do this film without having read the script. The Coen brothers visited him in Phoenix while he was making Three Kings, wanted to work with him after seeing his performance in Out of Sight. Moments after they put their script on Clooney's hotel room table, the actor said, "Great, I'm in." He stated that he liked even the Coen's least successful films.
So he was a big fan and wanted to work with him. Okay.
Yup.
Cool.
According to Joe Coen, there was a snake catcher on set. We hired this guy, and he came to set with a golf club, and what he would do is he would look around for snakes. If he saw one, he would rope it in with the golf club and put it in this bag.
That's not a snake handler. That's a redneck with a golf club. You hired a redneck with a golf club.
Joel asked him what you called somebody with this profession, and he said, an idiot. Ulysses Everett McGill's childhood home, shown at the end of the film where they go to search for the ring, is actually based on the cabin from The Evil Dead.
What?
Yep.
We just did The Evil Dead.
I know.
Or the remake,
yeah.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, that one was based off of it, too.
Sure.
Joe Coen was assistant editor on that film, his first feature.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sam Raimi and Joe Coen go way back.
I do see the Sam Raimi influence on the colors of Coen Brothers movies, the way they're shot.
I gotcha.
Not the exact same, because Raimi really likes bright colors, where the Coen Brothers kind of tend to have one color overtake everything else, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. J.K. Simmons auditioned for multiple parts, but backed out when one character the Coens were leaning towards casting him was too similar to Vernon Slitcher, his racist character from the HBO show Oz. The Coens would later cast him in The Lady Killers, Burn After Reading, and True Grit. I'm
assuming the sheriff is the one that George Costanza's boss plays?
Yes.
Okay.
And J.K. Simmons, he makes that list now.
He does.
Tim Blake Nelson based his accent on people he had heard while visiting relatives in rural Oklahoma.
There's definitely an Oklahoma accent.
Is there?
In this movie, yeah.
Okay. About 350 extras were hired for the Klan rally sequence. Many of them were members of a military formation troop, and many were African Americans. Joe Coen later recalled hearing one say, "This is the freakiest thing."
You already did this one.
Yeah, but I said weirdest.
Oh, he said freakiest?
Yeah, he said freakiest. Once I saw that, I was like, let me put this straight. The American Humane Association, an organization that protects animal rights, mistook a computer-generated cow in the movie for a real animal and demanded proof before they would allow the use of their famous disclaimer, "No animals were harmed in the making of this motion picture." After seeing a demonstration at Digital Domain of how the cow was created, the Humane Association added the now familiar, but then much rarer, scenes which may appear to place an animal in jeopardy were simulated. Got to be on the lookout for shit, because Hollywood used to fuck up animals. The popularity of this movie spawned interest in several pomades, Dapper Dan and FOP, both able to be purchased over the internet. A new UK company formed in 2011 is called the Dapper Dan Company and sells a variety of grooming products. Amazon.com carries both Dapper Dan and FOP pomade on its website. A U.S. company claims to manufacture and sell Dapper Dan since the 1920s.
And if you're wondering, we have not tried it because neither of us are pomade users.
No.
Because you have to have hair to use pomade.
You do, and we don't have hair.
Not on our heads.
Nope. On our dicks. Just kidding. We both have beards. The use of the name Soggy Bottom Boys for the band was actually foreshadows the end of the film when the four band members find themselves at the soggy bottom of the lake. And I fucking love foreshadowing.
Yep.
So I had to end the trivia with that.
Did you catch it during the movie?
No.
Okay.
No.
I did.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
What time is it now?
Movie impersonation.
Oh, jeez. We know what we got to do.
We do know what we've got to do.
Let's just do it.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
In constant sorrow through his days,
I am a man of constant sorrow. I've seen trouble all my days. I bid farewell to old Kentucky, the place where I was born and raised. The place where he was born and raised.
That was good.
Your turn?
My turn.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
In constant sorrow through his days, I am a man of constant sorrow. I've seen trouble all my day. I bid farewell to old Kentucky, the place where I was born and raised. The place where he was born and raised.
That was no practice from two people who do not know how to sing.
Yeah, we are not singers. My girlfriend is currently upstairs and she texted, literally, what the fuck? All of a sudden there's a choir downstairs. Maybe y'all start a 2-man band.
Oh.
All right, final thoughts on the movie in general. You think it's a great movie?
I've said it. I think it's great. I love it. It makes me happy. It's not perfect. The plot doesn't make any sense. The ending's kind of meh. But as happy as it makes me, and it being the Coen Brothers, 9.2 out of 10 for BJ.
Okay. So you said it's not a perfect movie. What doesn't it give that? What makes it lose that 0.8?
There's not much of a story to it.
Okay.
That's
and just the way
thing.
The scenes run together?
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is a good movie, not a great movie. I'm the exact rating that IMDb has at 7.7.
That's pretty fair because this movie's definitely not made for everyone.
No. And like you said, this movie just makes you happy.
It does.
This movie was made for BJ like Bill Durham was made for BJ.
Pretty close.
Bull Durham.
Pretty close.
Yeah. Should they remake this? And the answer is, I mean, yeah. Not in the 1930s, but redo Homer's Odyssey.
Oh, yeah. If you a modern-day Homer's Odyssey that's making fun of modern-day pop culture and technology.
You can do a civil rights Homer's Odyssey.
Great.
You could do a Native American colonial Homer's Odyssey.
Sure.
All kinds of shit.
Yeah, I mean, Homer's Odyssey on Puritans sailing across the Atlantic.
Yep.
That'd work.
Or Slave Revolt, Homer's Odyssey, something like that.
Yeah, no, it can work. You can remake Homer's Odyssey. And if you do it creative enough, I don't think it's stealing. Like, this one is so creative that I don't find this lazy screenwriting or lazy storytelling.
But I mean, what is stealing? Every story is a regurgitation of another story.
Right. You just twist and tweak and turn some buttons.
Yeah. Now for our newest segment, our pessimistic producer's problems with this film.
So our editor-producer,
Tristan Swam,
is a notorious pessimist. He is a glass half empty person. So this is what he has to say about the movie. Oh, brother, where art thou? More like, oh, brother, what is this? I think it started off pretty well until the magic blind black man showed up out of nowhere for no reason. Given this story was inspired by Homer's Odyssey, it's odd to say the least. It is a relentless bashing of 1930s slang and culture. The cinematography and set dressing were very impressive. The use of digital editing for this movie gave it a uniquely surreal look. Obviously, our editor mentions the editing in the movie.
Obviously.
Perfectly cast if you were aiming for a highbrow Three Stooges, which oddly enough is exactly the kind of chemistry that drives this film. I was utterly disgusted by some of the ridiculousness in this film, like George Nelson randomly shooting a cow in the middle of a car chase. then moments later, burst into tears after being called names during a robbery. So what do you think Tristan rated this film?
Like a 5 out of 10.
This film is pointless, unnecessary, with a confounding plot, and I loved every minute of it. 9 soggy bottoms out of 10.
Oh, fuck him. I think Tristan's going to be hard for me to figure out.
I love that he just bashes the movie and then is like, I loved it, 9 out of 10.
There's our pessimistic producer for you.
That's right.
He's going to be difficult. Damn. I think I've got Roger almost down.
Yeah, because a 2.5 versus a 3. 3 would have been a thumbs up.
Yeah. Now for our IMDb reviews.
Okay.
Which were hard.
I can see that. Although, no, this looks like a movie that'd be great to write a funny review about.
You would think so, but...
I mean, our producer just did it.
Yes. He has the best review of the movie. So our first one, 10 out of 10, by Sick Dog Double G 8813.
D-O double G.
D-O double G, baby. A great sound, a great look, and a great story. I was into this movie right away. I've seen the other Coen movies, with the exception of Raising Arizona, and I've noticed that each of their movies has a color. Fargo is gray-white, Lebowski is bright orange, and this movie is a pleasant yellow. The bright, pleasant qualities of this movie start right away. Soon the look is accompanied by the great, great music. It's the old folk sound, the kind of music that was written during a time when music was enjoyed as a part of day-to-day life. Enjoyed by everyone, chain gangs, churchgoers, and even prison escapees. Now, about the prison escapees. I don't know what their crime their characters could have possibly committed, as they are a very, very friendly group of guys.
Tim Blake Nelson robbed a Piggly Wiggly or something, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what they didn't. I don't think they said on the other two.
They didn't, but it's one of those things that it's probably the upstanding citizen thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, these white criminals seem really friendly. Nothing against you, Sick Dog. I'm just... Anyways. Clooney is fantastic, completely nailing his role. Go see this as soon as possible. I believe it can be enjoyed by anyone at some level. For some reason, the theater I was in was full of old ladies and old men, and they loved it. You'll love it too, I promise.
Old people loved it. You'll love it too.
I was compelled to get my hands on the soundtrack right away.
Yeah. I think a lot of people were, judging by your music trivia.
Right, no kidding. So I did 2 bad reviews. And I only did the first paragraph of one bad review because I just want to talk about how much of an idiot this guy is.
Okay.
All
right, go ahead.
It's by user RHKLWK27.
That's just random letters.
Yes. But first, this is an awful film. But first, a historical note. The Confederate battle flag is the centerpiece of an ugly scene in this film involving the Ku Klux Klan. For the record, the Confederate battle flag was never associated with the Ku Klux Klan.
You're just reading this review to piss me off, aren't you?
I am. Because it pissed me off and I wanted you to share in my pissed offness. During its heyday. If you take the time to look at any of the newsreels from the 1920s and 30s, including film clips of the thousands of rogue Klansmen marching down Washington, D.C.'s Constitution Avenue, the only flag you will see is Old Glory. The Confederate battle flag was misappropriated in the late 1950s and the 1960s by groups opposing the integration of the public schools, and later by the handful of yahoos in this country who claim to be separatists and Aryans ad nauseum. The point is that Hollywood's fixation on the Confederate battle flag as a symbol of evil is a continuing slander on the memory of millions of Americans who fought for independence. Before you continue, they didn't fight for independence. They were literally separatists and committed treason.
Yes. And the furthest thing from patriotism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yes, your notes on this paragraph from this review.
This is advice for everyone to take, and this is just the perfect example of it. Just because you're right doesn't mean it's right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. The Klan wasn't using the Confederate battle flag in the 30s. Don't go say stuff about it. Just keep that to yourself. That's not the important part of this scene.
It literally doesn't matter. And what's art supposed to do?
Art is supposed to convey a message.
Message conveyed.
Right, because the Confederate battle flag, whether you think people are misappropriating or not, whatever, became a sign for racist evil in the 50s all the way through current day.
Yep.
That's what art is. Art is conveying that message, man. Do you know how bad that would have looked to put Old Glory in the middle of a Klan rally and light it on fire and
right? So yeah. Now on to the actual bad review I have for this movie. You're welcome. By Stefano 14885. 2 out of 10. What's the point of this film anyway?
It's Homer's Odyssey. It's about the journey.
Yeah. I was curious to watch this film, remembering the rave reviews. After a few minutes, I was already doing something else, waiting for the film to end. I have never quite understood why the Coen Brothers are held in such high esteem by cinema critics. After watching at least 6 of their films, I can say that only 2 of them deserve some appreciation.
I want to know which 2.
No Country for Old Men and Burn After Reading.
Interesting second choice.
Yeah. The 2 of them in which their sarcasm is not an end to itself. But what about the rest? You find yourself constantly awaiting a funny sarcasm that never comes. I don't find them amusing. Their films are damp squibs, but a certain type of intellectuals like them because they look so cynical and blasé, which makes them look cool. Same reason why Tarantino is so acclaimed, in my opinion.
Oh!
But when I think about corrosive satire, it's Monty Python that comes to my mind, not the Coen Brothers. This guy just sounds like a pretentious douche.
Yes.
He went to film school and thinks he's better than everybody.
Oh, nothing has been better in terms of satire since 1969 and such for the Holy Grail. Oh.
That's probably exactly what he sounds like. I should have read the review like that. I was curious to watch this film, remembering the rave reviews.
And also, rave reviews, this had a 69% score on Metacritic. The Italian Job had a 68% score on Metacritic.
Yeah. Chill out, bro.
The critics are like, yeah, those are about the same.
The question of the pod, BJ. Should people watch this movie?
Oh, yes, but I understand that it is a very hard sell, and you have to have an open mind. If you go into this movie thinking, oh, it's a stupid Homer's Odyssey ripoff with idiots and bluegrass music, it's going to be really easy to hate.
Yeah.
So yes, everybody should watch it, but very much with an open mind.
I agree with that. Except I don't think everyone should watch it. Because I'm not going to get my girlfriend to watch it because she's just not going to enjoy it. So I don't think it's for everyone.
Okay.
But I would recommend it to people.
Yeah.
We don't have a movie picked out for next week.
We don't.
Follow our social media. Find out what we're doing.
At IRMFT Pod.
That's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Bye.